This is the DNA Pest Control Podcast with your hosts, Daniel and Anthony. All right, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Today we have a special podcast. We have our first ever guest. His name's Cole. He's a pest technician out of Texas. He's been in the industry for about 8 years. He's a certified applicator, and he has a termite license. He specializes in bed bugs, German roaches, and termites. And on his free time, he likes to skateboard. Welcome to the podcast, Cole.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got some good questions coming up. We might deviate a little bit from what we're going to talk about because obviously we're not in Texas. And so I'd like to learn a little bit about Texas and how to even get into the industry in Texas. We got it down pretty good over here in California, but outside we have no idea what it looks like, the types of licensing, or anything really. So even if there's testing.
Well, I guess I would be in the similar boat so far as I'm only kind of aware of what's going on in my local environment and like our licensing. I guess I'm pretty just uneducated on like what other states are doing. I'm pretty sure you guys may be a little bit more strict as so far as like other regulations go. But the way that I got started in pest control, I mean, I just had a buddy. He found a thing on Craigslist. He got into the industry and just kind of starting off. And then they were doing like a massive hire. And I just kind of was like, hey, I'm interested in doing it. I needed a job at the time and just kind of started all the way at the bottom and just kind of delved my way into learning all the things that there is to know.
Yeah. Did you, quick question, did you end up, so when you first got into the industry, did you jump back out or did you stay all the way through the 8 years?
I have, since I started pest control, I have done nothing but pest control over the past 8 years, whether that's being a technician out on a route, supervisor. There was a point where I was just kind of doing outside sales reps where I was just the one going out there, identifying the problem, selling the service. And then most recently, I've kind of went with like a smaller mom and pop company to where I'm just kind of doing everything that they need me to do because they were just kind of behind on the times. So they were just kind of looking for somebody that could kind of be like a Swiss Army knife and kind of help push them forward to a little bit more like, I guess what you'd call like more like modern pest control instead of, more of just having a bunch of baseboard jockeys coming in there,
There you go. Yeah, more of like a jack of all trades.
Exactly.
Yeah, tackling everything. Now, real quick, to deviate once more, when you got into the industry, when you were growing up, say when you're 10 years old, 12 years old, did you ever say, when I grow up, I'm going to be a pest control technician?
I have never met a pest control technician that it was their dream.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think anyone has ever came into this industry wanting to be a technician since they were a kid. It's crazy.
I didn't even know they existed.
No, but It is one of those things, like, once you get into it, this is actually not a bad gig, man. This is not a bad gig. Once you kind of know what you're talking about, usually takes about a year to kind of, learn at least what you're talking about. I mean, I've been doing it for 8 years and I still learn new stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So you never stop learning stuff, but once you kind of get that confidence of talking to a customer and you know what you're talking about, that goes so far.
Oh, yeah. And that also brings us to our topic for today's podcast, which is advice for newcomers. So we got a couple of questions or a couple of topics that we're going to shoot by you, and then all three of us are going to bounce ideas for any newcomers listening in and advice we could give them for starting off in this industry.
Yeah, so the first thing is kind of mentally, prepared. Cole, what part of Texas do you live in?
I live in the Houston area.
Houston? Okay. I lived in Dallas for a little bit. I wouldn't even say lived. I guess it was more I visited for like 4 or 5 months. And I know how hot it gets down there and humid.
Yeah, it's excruciating.
Yes. And so as a technician, if it's anything like in California, I mean, we don't have the humidity, but it gets up past 100 in Sacramento consistently day after day. We have to wear long sleeve shirts, pants as well, gloves, boots, hat, everything. And so mentally, your first year getting into it, how did you handle that first year of summer?
So I will say I've grown up in Houston my entire life, and I've always been doing outdoor activities. And then also my mom used to do like construction cleaning, to where, you know, I'd work with her during the summer in houses with no air conditioning yet. So I guess on just that front, I was already mentally prepared on like what I was getting into if the heat. Now, if you're not an outdoors person, or you're not really spent a lot of times outdoors, that may be something that you really want to consider before getting out there in the field, you know, knocking down spider webs, or even doing a termite treatment and having to dig up stuff outside for, I mean, most of your day. So that would just be something that, as a newcomer coming in, that you would have to ask yourself, like, am I going to be okay with working outside? Because some people, I'm sure you guys have seen newcomers come into pest control, and like within a week or two in, you're like, I don't know if this guy's going to make it.
Oh yeah.
You know, because it's not for everybody.
No. We had a guy come through. He didn't make it.
Yeah, he didn't make it.
Yeah, he couldn't handle the summer. That summer,
too hot.
Yeah, killed him. But Anthony, you're kind of new, you know, into it. Not new anymore, but how did you handle it coming into it? I mean, mentally, how, you know?
So a cool thing I had was, as you know, I was coming off of a warehouse job that I just didn't like. And when you get into a job that has a lot more freedom, like the pest control industry, that you have a lot more time to, not necessarily to yourself, but more time to understand, whoa, this is a job. And it's like, I'm driving in a work truck to these accounts and getting them done outside. Something I was never seeing outside in the warehouse. I was stuck in the warehouse. So my main advice definitely would be, and what helped me out is that, hey, this is better than being trapped into, you know, a warehouse, or being trapped in a fast food restaurant, or being trapped into a retail store. Not saying those jobs are bad. Yeah. And I'm not saying those jobs are bad at all, or knocking on them, but it's just, hey, this job is great. You know, maybe half of the year, not even half probably, you got to deal with the heat. And then you get I like to call it the off time of the winter. You show up, there's no webs, barely any bugs, and it's pretty easy. So you definitely got to make some sacrifice. You got to be mentally ready to make sacrifice. And you got to also do some lifestyle changes, like drink more water, stay hydrated. Because in the summertime.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's super important.
Oh, yeah. You're going to get very dehydrated in the summer, and your life's going to be hell.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. So I think anybody who's looking into getting into the pest control industry, mentally be prepared for a certain amount of time of heat. And I think that's really almost in any state. I think you're going to hit that time where it's going to be super hot, where the bugs are at their worst, they're at their peak. You're going to be outside more. But then there is also that, you know, off time.
Now I want to, and this is for the Californians, and this is to knock the Bay Area. So when it gets to about 73 degrees for you guys out there, I know it gets pretty hot, but trust me, you could get through it.
Yeah, it does not get hot out there, so that's nice. But, you know, I think we all go through that. But, I mean, definitely be prepared. It is not, I would not say it's actually super labor intensive. Now, termite, Cole, you did say digging holes?
Well, digging the trench around the home.
Oh, okay. So it is, do you not use like a trencher or anything like that?
I mean, I have a pickaxe, and I mean, even here in Houston, especially like in in the actual downtown part, there's like a lot of pier and beam homes. And, by the label, the way that you're supposed to do is get underneath there and trench around all those individual piers. So, most of your bi-monthly or quarterly services that you're just mainly doing proactive treatments for, I mean, those aren't very labor intensive for the most part. I mean, you're just going around spraying, spreading out some granules, maybe dusting some weep holes, knocking down some spider webs and wasp nests, but none of that's going to be very physically intensive. But whenever you got to crawl underneath the house and it's all muddy and it's super hot outside and there's only about 1.5 to 2 foot of clearance, it can be physically draining.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, if anyone's listening in, go back because to some of the previous episodes, we do talk about how it is rewarding because you're actually doing something positive for the homeowner to where you're actually going to get congratulated. They're going to be thankful for you other than most jobs that are out there where probably no one's going to say thank you for, putting some food back on a shelf. So,
oh yeah.
But now,
no, for sure. And whenever they see you putting in that work, they're like, wow, I definitely would not have wanted to do that. So I appreciate you getting this taken care of for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is very true. So what are the laws in Texas? What do you have to wear uniform wise out there?
I mean, you gotta have your waterproof boots, long sleeve shirt, gloves, safety glasses. You're supposed to have almost like a waterproof kind of hat. Now, the company I'm currently at, I don't think that we have a waterproof hat, but the people that regulate all these laws and everything, they're usually pretty lenient on a lot of the things, as long as they can tell that you're not just obviously being neglectful of the law.
Yeah, we actually we did a class out here, and we were talking to a representative of the ag department. I think he was an inspector, and he even admitted, he said, hey, we're not just here to inspect you guys, we're pretty busy, but if we see that you're lacking any of the PPE, whether it be gloves, glasses, hat, anything like that, then that gives them the cue to drive by. Because a lot of times, he admitted, they'll just drive by you if you look like you're being safe.
Yeah, no, and that's the whole thing. I feel like as long as you're reading your labels, you're trying to do everything in your power to be as close to the label and the law as possible. They're not just going to be intentionally trying to mess with you and make your day horrible for the most part. I think in my 8 years, I've ran into an inspector that has went over and came over to me maybe 2 or 3 times, and he just kind of asked me the products I was using, what my target insects were, and he just kind of looked, made sure I had the lock on my box for where I was storing my chemicals at, and pretty much, all right, have a good day from there.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Only 2 to 3 times over 8 years. I mean, shoot, we know guys that have been hit about 19 times in a year, apparently. So,
yeah.
I don't know how true that is, but
we don't know if it's true or not, but allegedly.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our next topic, right?
Well, so yeah, I mean, I guess the main thing is, if you're new to it or you're just barely getting into it, I mean, the uniforms are always provided typically. At least here in California, one of the laws is we have to at least provide 3 shirts, 3 pants to the technician, and obviously all the PPE to get, to have the technician protected. So just be aware of that, but definitely boots. I don't know if they specify if they have to be waterproof or not, but you definitely do need boots that are chemical resistant at least.
Yeah. And my quick advice would be that is the biggest one. If you're new, get something comfortable on your feet because you're going to be walking 5 to 6 miles a day in the heat. in the cold. Get something that's going to protect your feet. Get some inserts, or wear some comfortable socks, because you're going to be on your feet a lot. And I like to call your feet the money makers. So
yeah, because you will be exhausted.
Just go ahead and spend that extra money to get the quality boots. It's definitely something that is more of an investment rather than just a simple purchase.
Oh yeah,
yeah. If you've ever done the Walmart boots, I've done that. It's not.
Yeah. It's not fun.
6 months tops. I promise. You'll go through them. They'll be gone. So now this is going to be kind of an interesting one, is what you should have on your truck that your company does not provide. Is there something, Cole, that you've kind of just added to the vehicle that maybe the company even should provide, but they just don't?
A cooler to keep your waters and everything in throughout the day, because I mean, my boss, whenever we have our once or twice a week meetings, he's like, all right, guys, make sure everyone's staying hydrated. But I mean, it's also not their responsibility to keep you hydrated. And I don't know, I don't want to just be drinking scorching hot water all day. So getting yourself a cooler, and then also, like me, I have a very packed route. I could be doing anywhere from 15 to 18 homes a day, to where I may not always have time to go and stop and get lunch. So packing my lunch the night before and being able to, eat a sandwich between a stop whenever it's around 1 o'clock, between my 1 and 2 o'clock appointment, I have a good 20-minute drive, and I can eat my lunch on the way over there, rather than if I had to stop somewhere and get some food that could be taking up time. Where the cooler helps me keep all my water, my food, snacks throughout the day. So whenever I pack that the night before and I grab my cooler to put in my truck to go the next day, like, I'm good for the day. Like, I don't need to stop anywhere and waste any time doing anything. I'm set for the whole day.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a cooler, there are those, what are they called? They're, the water bottles, the metal ones, they're bigger. They make a size one now.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I can't
Some of the gas stations will have them.
Yeah, I can't even think of the Yetis. Yeti makes them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They actually make the coolers too.
Yeah.
And then there's another one, I can't even think of it, but you can get up to a gallon, one of those, and if you put ice in it, supposedly they'll last, it's like 12 hours or 24 hours or whatever. So yeah, definitely make sure you're equipped with a cooler, a water jug. That's huge. I give those to my guys. I buy their Under Armour 64 ounce water jugs. So they just fill that up every day.
Okay, well, you're a very nice boss, because out of all the places that I've worked at, there's never been any type of thing like that. Like,
oh wow,
that they've given us. But anytime I've trained someone new coming on, I'm like, hey, you see that cooler right there? You need to go buy one, because this will make your life way easier.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Anthony? What do you think?
I definitely agree with the cooler. The water or Gatorade, whatever you're gonna throw in there, is gonna fuel you throughout the day and keep you hydrated. Last thing you want to do is start slowing down. Then the quality of your work's gonna start getting a little worse. And next thing you know, you're gonna get some complaints on your route. So definitely focus on keeping hydrated. Get that cooler. One thing that I've noticed is really good is a charger. Now you get one for your work phone, but definitely one for your personal, because I listen to podcasts or audiobooks all day. You want to make sure you got a charger for your phone and whatever you're using to listen to it, because if you have a pretty chillaxed route of 15, 18 accounts a day, then you're definitely going to want to have something to push you on, whether it be music, a podcast, anything like that, just so you don't get bored throughout the day. Because I do know if you're hitting 15 accounts a day, 5 days a week, you can run into a little bit of burnout.
Oh yeah. Cole, are you able to listen to music while you're out working? If you have a headphone in or anything like that?
I mean, obviously whenever I go up to the customer to do my greeting, let them know that I'm there, seeing if they're having any specific issues with anything, I don't have my headphones in. I have some wireless headphones. But whenever if they're like, no, you know what, you guys just go ahead and do the outside. I haven't really had any issues. I'm like, okay, Mr. Jones, not a problem. And then whenever I'm starting my outside service, I'll pop in my headphones and, do their exterior service. But if I'm on the interior of the service doing like interior stuff, I usually like to try to have some type of like small talk or something to just build a little bit of rapport with the customer to, make you try to stand out a little bit. Like, oh, that Cole's coming over, and so I don't want to have like my headphones in. Like, I understand that. I'm trying to listen to Joe Rogan right now.
Yeah.
You need to calm down.
No, I hear you. Yeah, and definitely. And then also, you're also trying to listen to the DNA podcast too. That's the new hit podcast, exactly. That you could find it anywhere, any app, any. No, yeah, but yeah, we do. Plug. What was that?
What's that? That was a very seamless plug.
Yeah. No, yeah, but we talk about it in past episodes and everything about customer satisfaction. And yeah, and a lot of times, and I'm sure you'd agree, is that you want to show the utmost respect. So if you are packing a thing like wireless headphones or headphones to listen to music, podcasts, books, or whatever, be sure to be respectful about it. And if you're ever on the phone around the house, don't be obnoxious. Don't talk. Don't do locker room talk around your client's home. They got cameras, they got neighbors, and they could even be listening in. So just always be respectful for clients. But I do highly recommend you pack something that could help you get through the day to fight off some of that boredom.
Yeah, headphones for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely wireless headphones. I have AirPods, so I'll use that throughout the day. Running, I know there's a ton out there. There's ones that go around your neck that are pretty cool, because then you can just throw those in and then pull them out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have those ones.
Yeah. So those are,
yeah, you do know.
Yeah, I do
have
know.
those.
I do. But yeah, those are awesome. What else can you guys think about? Anything else that we could add in there for
anything
newbies?
else? Anything else you think of, Cole?
Bringing like a towel to just wipe the sweat off of you throughout the whole day.
Yeah, there you go.
Is very helpful. Either that or some paper towels. Anything that you can just kind of help keep the sweat off you, especially, like right before you about to walk up to a new client. They were literally 2 houses down from your other one, so you're still sweating profusely from the last one. Wipe yourself down, turn up the AC, drive a minute down the road, and hopefully you won't look
dead.
Terrible,
like a swamp monster. Yeah, and that's another big one. Yeah. I'll touch up on that too. Definitely a towel, some paper towels, but have napkins or paper towels for your nose too, because the allergies start hitting or whatever. You gotta blow your nose. Last thing you want to do is shoot snot rockets out your car window.
Yeah, it's not fun. Your work truck is pretty much your office because you're spending so much time.
Yeah.
So trying to keep that as clean and organized as possible goes a long way.
You're my kind of guy, Cole.
Yeah,
we're gonna be talking about something afterwards here. You might be making a move. Yeah. So I mean, what I do also in the trucks, if they're not provided, go grab a little garbage can. I do that.
Oh yeah.
I have them in all of my trucks, the little garbage cans that guys can just throw everything away, and then if they're at a gas station, they can dump it, just real quick and easy. But then there's a place to always put your garbage instead on the passenger floor. I know that's like the go-to for everybody. They'll just crumple up.
Yeah, I usually just have like a grocery bag that I have like a bag full of grocery bags, and I'll just take one of those at the beginning of my day and throw it around like the drive stick, and I'll just kind of put all my trash in there. And then at the end of the day, I'll either throw it away at a gas station or whenever I get home, so I'm not just having a bunch of trash just pile up inside of my vehicle. Because when you're in your vehicle 8 to 12 hours a day, I'm kind of like a neat freak to where it'll just kind of like bother me throughout my day if I just see a bunch of like loose random trash everywhere.
Oh yeah. So definitely, that's a good idea. Bring bags if you don't have them. Garbage can,
and to touch up on the trash part, this is definitely really good advice for newcomers. Don't ever let it go, and don't ever get in that habit, because more times than not, customers will follow you up to your door, or neighbors will. And if you open it and there's 6 bags of McDonald's and a can of Monster falls out of your truck, they might not want to go with your company no more, because they might think you're a little dirty.
How are you going to treat their house,
Sure. Yeah, like it looks like you have roaches in your truck. Well, I don't know if I want you coming in my house.
Right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, terrible. So yeah, definitely keep it clean, keep it neat, bring what you need to make sure that it stays that way. Even if you're coming back to the shop, you got to do your meeting once a week, or you're picking up chemicals, and your manager or your boss ends up walking out, and you open up your car door and garbage starts falling out. That never looks good.
Nope.
Never looks good.
No.
So, if you're not clean and you're not a clean freak, at least do that, so you can at least keep your job. But now for the process of licensing. So in California, depending on what you want to get into in the pest control industry, if you're just looking for general, there's an applicator's license. If you want to get into, and then there's 3 branches within that. So you have your applicator's license, which allows you to do general pest control on a home. It also allows you to do termite treatments. Then you have your branch 1.
So that you don't even have to take it.
What was that?
It's not even a separate step.
No.
The termite is not even like, it's all just grouped into one.
Yep. So the applicator test it's essentially making sure you know how to be safe. That's what it is. It's a super common sense, like, okay, look, if you have, a bottle
Don't drink the chemical.
Yeah, exactly. Don't drink it. Don't pour it on yourself.
Don't feed it to the dog.
Yeah. So it's really all about safety. It does have some termite questions in there, but they're just looking here. We're going to get you licensed, and we're essentially saying, safety. You don't know how to do necessarily the treatments. You're going to have to get trained on that, but at least you know safety. You know nothing about bugs or anything else. Then you have your branch 1, branch 2, and branch 3. Branch 1 and 2, those are your termite and your tenting license, so fumigation licensing.
No, you mean structural. Branch 2 structural. Branch 3 is the termite.
No, branch 1 and 3.
Oh, you said 1 and 3? You said 1 and 2.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
No, 1 and 3 is going to be your fumigation and termites, and then your branch 2 is going to be your general pest, which is all structural. Branch
Pretty
1,
much,
2, and 3.
The residential routes to branch 2.
Yep. Yeah, so that's going to allow you to go to a house, spray the outside of a house, and then there's also an operator's license. I'm going to lose a lot of guys here because there's so many different avenues in California.
I was like, I feel like I'm fairly familiar with like how the licensing process works in Texas. But if I'm being completely honest, I got my certified applicator's license like 2 years ago, and then like once a year I just do like an 8-hour class, and that just kind of keeps me renewed onto there to where I've kind of either forgotten or lost track of like some of the nuances of like, I know we start off like whenever you first start off, you have your apprentice license. And then after 6 months, you're supposed to get like a technician license, which allows you to do like general pests. But termite is like a completely separate category. And then you can get your certified applicator's license, which is pretty much just like an upgrade from the technician's license. And then you can get a certified applicator license in termites, which is like the upgrade from that. And then they have like lawn and ornamental, which I've never really messed with because it's never really applied very much to my job. But I know there's more stuff to it that I'm just not really privy to the information about it.
Yeah. And that's the when he was saying there, the whole structuring of licenses, that's the Texas side of the licensing, and what we were talking about earlier is from California. So it varies in each state.
Actually, and that sounds, I mean, it's a little different verbiage, but it sounds pretty similar.
Yeah, it sounds like it's sort of the same structure.
Yeah, I mean, because we also have a QAL license, which would be the ornamentals. That's what you're talking about on lawn, treatments, fertilizers. Okay. But the QAL goes into like aviation, so you can actually do the if you have to have your pilot's license, obviously, but then you can do chemical treats by
flyovers. Yeah.
Yep. So that QAL, so the QAL here in California essentially allows you to do everything outside of a structure. And then, so they have 2 different departments. So essentially the ag oversees everything. And then you have your structural pest control board, which allows you, if you get licensed there, that allows you to treat a structure.
Now, real quick, Daniel,
Yeah.
we throw around the word ag a lot, and I was guilty of it earlier. For newcomers, what is when a technician can say, "Oh, that's ag"? What should a newcomer link that to?
Agriculture.
Yeah, so that's the agriculture department. That's
Yeah.
like the people who are in charge of protecting the environment, essentially. Agriculture, food agriculture, everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can get into a bunch of different avenues, but if you're looking for pest control and what we're talking about on a structure, you have to get your applicators in California or a branch 2 to really treat a home. And then outside
Now,
of that. Yeah.
In California, now all the companies that I've worked here for in Texas, whatever like the job that the pest control company that you're working at for, whatever you're mainly going to be doing, they already provide you with like the textbooks and will sign you up to the classes to where you're not really having to take a lot. I mean, there is some initiative that you have to take so far as like studying the material, but so far as like which avenue that you really need to go down on, I mean, the longer you stay in it, the more license that you want to get. So, you kind of want to get like Pokemon, you want to catch them all eventually.
Yeah.
But whenever you first kind of start off, in my experience, it's like the manager or whatever person is in charge of the company will kind of already guide you into the direction that you need to be going and get you the material and will at least provide you the information to sign up for the classes.
Yeah. So here it's the same. I've noticed a lot of, when we talk like big companies, so Terminex, Orkin, Rollins, they'll probably hire on new guys, that have never been licensed before. When you get into like smaller companies, it's a lot harder to get into the industry there because a lot of them are looking for techs that have already been, at it. They're already licensed. Here, we'll provide all that for you. So we'll put you in that direction. This is what you got to study. This is, we'll get you to take the test. But that all comes back down on to the technician if they can pass that test. Cause here it's 150 questions, right? Yeah. 150.
Yeah. I think so.
It's 150 or 200.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mine was around the same, I want to say, but like the review, like, packet that I had was like 300 questions. So they're like, make sure you know all these because there's only going to be 150, but here's the 300 questions they could ask.
Now,
like, okay.
Yeah. Now, real quick, if I could get fired up real quick, are we allowed to get fired up on this one?
Oh, you're going to go off on the testing,
go
huh?
for it.
Yeah. On the testing, here's what I don't get is I think you have to get what 70%, 75%.
Oh no, it's 70%. You're right. 70%.
You gotta get 70% score on your test, right? Okay. Now all the questions vary. They're all different topics. So here's what I don't get is a quarter of the questions on the test, at least in California, they're stupid. I'm just gonna throw it out there. They're stupid questions. Now let me ask you this.
Yeah, it's like stuff that you would never ever encounter.
Yeah, it's like, hey, what if there's a flying beetle over, in Jupiter? How would you treat? It's like, oh no, and all the answers.
Well, I remember seeing like questions. It's like, what nozzle tip should you use if the air is blowing this much in this direction, but there's a crop 20 yards to the left or something? And I'm just like, what should the ideal droplet size be? I'm like, never, ever have I ever once encountered anything like this or even talked to anybody that has encountered anything like this.
Yeah, I know.
It's just so the state can feel good because no one's going to actually go and check the droplet size when they're spraying.
I know. Yeah,
I don't even know if there's a way to test that, to be honest.
I know.
No, there's not.
Was he going to go? The ag inspector's going to go and put his hand under your spray. Okay, go spray. Got to measure the droplets, the density.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's one thing. And here's the other gripe I have about it is they don't even tell you which ones you got wrong if you pass it. They just tell you,
No,
you
it
passed.
just says 70%. It says good or fail.
Now what?
I failed it my first time.
Yeah, I think we all did because it's all a pyramid
we all
scheme.
did.
It's all a conspiracy. But that's another topic for another podcast.
Once you failed it the first time, it's almost like those tests that will word things. Like, you know the right answer, but the way that they worded it is very odd.
Yeah.
Where you're like second guessing yourself.
Yeah, and here's the thing too: is what if a technician got 70%, but he failed on 30% of the most important questions? You know.
Well, he's still good to go.
And he's good to go, right? Because what if he
good.
failed the question, "Are you allowed to drink pesticide on Saturday?" And he said yes, and then he's gonna go spray someone's house because he got 70%, but he failed those questions.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I think that you guys sound like you've been doing it a while, and we've all met either technicians at our previous companies or something to where you're like, I don't know if he's been doing this for 15 years, but I still don't know if this guy really knows what he's doing at all.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's a big majority of the industry. So if you're a new guy, you're looking into it, if you just barely hopped in, be very skeptical. I was with guys who were doing it for 15, 20 years. I actually took their advice. I
developed a lot of bad habits.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and they come up with some of the craziest things that they learned from a previous guy.
I just spray every house inside with Thermador, and I'm all good. I don't ever have any bug issues. Like, well, yeah, that's because you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, you know, and so, I mean, yeah, just be very skeptical with them. Not saying that they have some really good advice. They do know a lot, but you do have to go out there and do your own research. I've had to do that. I've learned from guys who've learned from other guys that, 40 years back, and we just don't do that stuff anymore. The industry is changing. It has changed. We do different things. We have different chemicals. You're going to talk about your demon wettable powder and your
Dursban, diazinon. And
the those are like the kind of guys that don't even believe in any type of integrated pest management. They're, oh no, I just spray everything. Like, that's not necessary.
Yeah, those are the guys that are filling up bait stations without gloves and then licking their fingers
and then
after.
And then they sprinkle Niban or any little granule bait on their pizza. But that's what this podcast is for. We're gonna break that habit in the industry. We're gonna make the industry a good place. And you know why? Because if we do, if we all work towards it, then it's gonna increase the value of our service. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And that's what I was kind of saying earlier, the place that I got brought into. I've been there for like about a year, but there are a lot of those guys there that I'm trying to, like, they're older guys that are like in their late 40s, 50s that have been developed these terrible habits throughout the 30 years that I'm trying to get them to kind of change their ways,
Yeah. Well, hey, man.
Good luck.
Good luck. And send them a link to our podcast. And if they ever want to debate and get fired up, and then we'll tell them why some of these old ways are wrong, you let them know that we're more than happy to have them on the podcast. So.
Yeah, but also another thing as a newcomer, it's never a bad thing to say that you don't know and that you can reach out to somebody and get the information, because it's always better to be more transparent with your customer. Like, hey, look, I haven't dealt with this issue personally myself, but more than likely, if you're with a company, there's going to be plenty of people there that should have enough combined experience to at least lead you into the way that you should be going. Because, if you go to someone's house and they got ghost ants all in the kitchen, one thing you want to do is like go spray the outside with nothing but repellent and then butt off the colony to make them even worse. So if you go somewhere, it's just never a bad idea to like reach out to someone on your team that, even though this is kind of contradicting what we were saying earlier, it's not a bad idea to reach out to someone on your team that may have more experience than you if you're unsure on how to actually solve the issue, rather than just trying to guess and try to do your own trial and error.
Yeah. Well, it falls under pick and choose the information you pull from that technician. And I'm not saying a technician that's stuck in the old ways is always wrong, but definitely pick the good from him, which I got trained by a technician that was stuck in the old ways, and I picked all the good, and I made sure to weed out all the BS that he was spewing at me, holding hoses with no gloves, taping them together, things like that. And also just being smart out there. Just be, wise. And then a lot of times in this industry, you will run into the issue of, should I even be doing this? And if it's very windy, should I hit the eaves right now? It's going to go all over the place and things like that. So just always be smart and always be safe out there, because at the end of the day, you can still get the job done by being safe.
Yeah, definitely. I agree 100% with you guys on that. Definitely pick and choose the information. The old guys do have good stuff. That's why I said, they do have good information. They know a lot of different insects. They'll know the biology a lot. At least that's the experience I've had with some of the old guys. The only thing that you do have to pick apart is the treatment method.
Yeah.
How they're treating, what they're doing, what chemical they're using. That's what I had to actually pick apart, and that's what I had to choose, pick and choose on that. And some of them actually they did have good information, and they told me how to treat a certain way, and I did, and it worked. Others, I just threw it away because it sucked, and it was a terrible idea on what they wanted to do.
Yeah, and here's the cool thing is that if you spend long enough in the industry, and I'm sure, Cole, you have your own specialty treatments that you've developed over the years by putting 2 and 2 together or whatever, you start learning your own little methods. Oh, yeah. So that's the good thing too, is you don't. Yeah. Once you spend the time in the industry, just keep an open mind every day. Keep learning. Keep asking questions to yourself and to your boss or to other technicians, and just keep learning. Because, like you said, you've been in it for 8 years. You're still learning to this day, and I don't think it'll stop when you're in here for 15 or 20 years.
No. That's one thing. Is there's always something that I'm like, oh wow, I didn't expect that. That was. Not what I had originally thought this problem was going to go.
Yeah. No, I think we've all done that. But hey, Cole, have you heard of? I keep hitting it on like every podcast, I swear. But have you heard of Pest World?
Is that like the website where you can kind of do your classes on there, like once a week, and kind of they give you like quizzes and stuff?
Well, they do, yeah. So they actually have there's a lot of different stuff, but the Pest World itself. So they'll do an expo as well. They do this massive expo. This year it's gonna. Well, we'll see this year if it's even gonna happen in Tennessee, where they do classes, they do everything, and you can go in specifically.
Yeah, a whole bunch of new products and everything else, new equipment and everything.
Yeah, have you ever been to one of those?
I have not, but the one advantage I do like about the place that I'm currently at, so they have a do-it-yourself store where they sell a lot of pest control products to like the general public, and then we also have like a pest control service to where we have our clients and we we have technicians that run routes. So I do get to since we have such a variety of products, I do get to try out a lot of new stuff quite often. And like sometimes my boss, since he orders so much stuff, like Univar or one of the other manufacturers will be like, they'll send him a bottle of like a sample product, be like, hey, and he'll like tell me, he's like, hey, you got a German roach job on you tomorrow. Go ahead and try out this new dust dust applicator and tell me how it works, and that way I get to kind of be like the guinea pig of trying out some of the newer stuff that we get in. Is kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, I do have a suggestion if you want to bring it up to that, your boss over there. But Pest World is one thing that we've been doing every single year for the past 5 years. I think we missed 1 year. Mm-hmm. But every time I go, because they bring in, all sorts of specialists to this to teach, new methods or things that they've been trying out. And every year we come back with so much information and we change so many different things, from what we've learned. And so it's a huge thing. If you're new, If your company doesn't do it, I suggest just jumping on it and going yourself, taking that week off or, those few days off and just going out there. Because there's so much you can learn and there's so much information you could bring back. It's been huge. It's been so valuable for us.
Oh yeah.
Here with just a change.
No, I'll definitely have to bring that up to my boss because he's always looking for new stuff to try out. That's one good thing about having a boss that cares. They actually want to improve things and kind of keep it going.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely talk to him about it because he can definitely send out a guy or two or even him go out just for the first year by himself. I guarantee after that he's going to want to bring everybody with him because it's so much information, so good. And they have an expo that has everything you can think of, all the new stuff that's coming out. So even for his store, that's going to be great for him. Because he can just fill his place up with all the new stuff.
I can tell I'm getting older just by the fact whenever I get new equipment. Now I get excited. I'm like, oh man, I should not be this excited over a new B&G, but
oh yeah, dude, yeah, we got a brand new B&G in months ago. I remember, and we're all just like googly eye over it, like, oh, look at that stainless steel.
Oh god.
Yeah. About a 16-year-old me heard me talking about that. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, right.
You got some issues over there now.
Yeah, cool. So I think that covers a majority of the topics, right?
Yeah, that's everything. One quick plug for this guy. I don't know him, and I've actually never used him, but I know Anthony has. Yeah. Termite Terry is a book. It's a guy who came out with essentially a book that you can study that will get you to pass a test here in California. I don't know.
A lot of states, actually.
Oh, he does?
Yeah,
other states
it's
too?
more of a statewide type of book, yeah. It's a general consensus. So, yeah, the book is called Pest Control License Exam Preparation Manual. It's not the most alluring title. It's called Termite Terry's Pest Control Training. It's like a little series. He has multiple of these books. Now, the one I got, it's only $50 off of Amazon. It's a good investment because the amount of money you'll make from pest control is going to pay off the book. Yeah, so go get it. We could put a link in the podcast, right? You want to do that for him? Yeah, we'll leave a link in the description. We're not sponsored by him at all or anything, but it's a book that helped me out, and it's just awesome. I still have it to this day. I'll peek at it. It shows you all the different bugs, things like that. Cockroaches, bed bugs. They even give you treatment methods for, pretty much every insect. So definitely, if you're looking to get in the industry or if you're still brand new and you want to kind of upgrade your knowledge on the industry and surprise some of those older techs, go ahead and get that book.
Yeah, definitely. Any final last words, Cole, that you want to leave with anybody listening, any new guys?
Yeah.
Don't get too stressed out about the job. Work smarter, not harder. And just try to remember that you're also doing customer service on top of a service.
Oh, yeah.
So other than that, I can't really think of too much else. And I appreciate you guys having me on as your first guest. It was an honor.
Well, this is. I don't think this is going to be the last time you're going to be on the podcast, Cole. You're an awesome guy.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
You guys have been awesome as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, thanks for listening, everybody. That was the episode. Hey guys, this is Anthony, and here's a quick reminder. We want to hear from you, whether you're a technician, owner, or operator. We want to hear your stories, whether it's a horror story on the field, a funny story with the client, or just something straight up crazy or weird you've seen. And how can you do this, you ask? Well, our email is dnapestpodcast@gmail.com. That's DANDA pestpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us at Twitter and direct message us there at DNA Pest Podcast. That is D, the letter N, A, Pest Podcast. Follow us on Twitter. Or you can reach out directly through our website at dnapodcast.com. That's DANDA podcast.com. We want to hear from you, so let's hear it.